My name is Christophe Sannier. I'm a Senior Business Development Advisor at GAF, which I joined just over a year ago, and I'm the Project Manager for the GDA Urban Sustainability project. The main contract has actually ended earlier this year, and there was a consortium which was led by GAF with the DLR, with GSAT, and Trail Tamura, also the AIT in Austria. They were involved in quite a number of projects around various parts of the world, in Africa, but also in Asia. There was a particularly city in which we worked in Sargodha in Pakistan, which has led to the subsequent activities. We are involved now in the contract change notice to develop activities related to monitoring urban heat islands. There was quite a wide range of applications. I mean, some of them were directly related to some World Bank program. There was this West African coastal assessment in Nigeria, where it was actually looking at climate resilience issue in urban areas, looking at, flood risk, exposure of assets, population, and so on. Another one which was really interesting also was in Rwanda, in Kigali, where it was looking at nature-based solution, how to rehabilitate wetlands to try and get better sort of resilience to floods. I remember one of the cases I was involved in very earlier on in the program. It was actually with the Asian Development Bank in Kolkata. Kolkata is in a floodplain, effectively, a really flat area. And it was really to make sure that you could have the appropriate response in case of flooding and try to see what would be the main assets would be affected by any kind of floods. So we did some work actually as a follow-up with the ADB to try and do some flood simulation and some asset vulnerability assessment and so on. And I think Earth observation, particularly in a lot of developing countries where you're not in an environment where there's a lot of information or data available for taking informed decisions, Earth observation is one of the best technology that can provide that in a short space of time. And I think that's where GDA is particularly useful, is to raise the awareness and actually provide these kind of suitable solutions to make sure that you do take the best possible decision in terms of investment or monitoring some of the investment that have been made and effectively designing the next ones. One of the specific points of the urban sustainability theme is the fact that you're dealing with very fragmented environment. You're not dealing with national government, you're dealing with local authorities, metropolitan areas, and each of them actually have their specific needs or organization and so on, which can be quite a challenge to address a program like the GDA. I think it's really striking the right balance. I mean, innovation is fine, but sometimes you want to have well-proven solutions that work. And the key thing, as I've mentioned before, is to make sure that those solutions are actually adapted to where you work. Coming back to the example I was giving, working in Kolkata, it's only when we started to actually really meeting the people locally, it's not always possible, where we realized some of the technical challenges they were facing. I mean, they were using quite advanced, they was already themselves using satellite imagery, but maybe not in the most efficient way. Rather than talking about big innovation, it was really to try and help them out to make sure what they were doing was actually fitted the requirement they had. And then once we had this interaction, it was actually quite easy to provide a suitable solution. Not really fancy one, but something that actually fitted their needs. I think that's where the GDA is key. I mean, it's taking some of the outcome from other R&D, innovation, and so on, and really trying to provide the best solution for whatever purpose you're dealing with.